Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. This one is going to probably be a long one, so sit back, relax, grab the popcorn, whatever snack you want. As some of you already know, I am a little bit of an Idol freak. I've watched I've watched most Idol anime. I have a problem, but today we're making a long ass video about it. I want to get into the one thing I heard a lot, the Idol Gateway, something that's said by us degenerate Idol fans. How do we get the fellow man into our pool, into these particular shows? And there's been one anime that had been constantly brought up as like, this is the best Idol Gateway anime. It's always, as you might have guessed, Zombieland Saga. Today I'm going to criticize and explain why another show actually deserves that title. To give Zombieland Saga credit, I think it does a lot of good things that has made it deserve this reputation to a certain degree. Of the good stuff it does a lot of very successful comedy that brings people in a lot more. Like, the first episode is absolutely fucking hilarious, but there's other downsides. Like, I think it has some of the worst CGI animation. The first season is some of the most horrendous I've seen. There's worse that exists, but I think overall it has a lot of good qualities that attract people to it as a show. And since it is pretty closely Idol, people are going to say it's the best way to get people into it. I think the biggest problem I do have with this is that a lot of people just watch Zombieland Saga and then they don't watch any more Idol anime. So is it really the gateway? If anything, it's kind of like a very decorative wall at that point. Us Idol fans, we really need to pick a show that will bring them down to our hoeless, bitchless level, alright? We need to drag them down to the depths, to the hell that we exist in as Idol fans. Zombieland Saga is just not cutting it. We must go further. We must pick a better anime to represent us. Today, I pose the one, and this is where it's going to get really long as I explain all the details on why I think this anime is so good, why this anime is the gateway Idol anime. To not hype it up anymore, to not drag out this time, that show that I choose would be Love Live Superstar. So why do I pick this series out of any other? First, it represents what a Idol anime is extremely well. It fits very close to all of the norms that you're going to see in any other Idol show. As well, I think it does very well in pretty much every aspect of it. From story and the conflict, the characters, the overall presentation, animation, stuff like the dance choreography, all that type of things, and just the overall structuring of it as a whole. Now for me to explain why it does that. First, let's get right in with the overall story and conflict. Idol anime is already very good at being a kind of subgenre to cute girls doing cute things anime, where it already has an initial conflict of being an idol. What comes with that? It also has the additional conflict that they're struggling to even form any bit of a unit. For the overall story, they're going to this particular school that's known for arts when it comes to singing, dancing, music, but doesn't actually have any school idol activities. One of the characters, Ren, is super opposed to it and actually acts as an antagonist to oppose them creating a school idol group. And there's only really two characters who are really driven to do it, so you're already having a huge conflict where they're struggling to even form a group. There's heavy resistance from where they are to even make one, and you're trying to get to a point that they're winning this like Love Live contest. And it's like, yeah, that's a pretty big jump, pretty good conflict. That's a good way to set stakes, and I think the show also just builds upon this more and more, because each of the characters I think are very well done and they each have a lot to be talked about. They all have their own at least individual conflicts and maybe some conflicts between each other. So let's get into that. Our main character, the main orange-haired girl, because for some reason Love Live wants to make every main character have orange hair. Kanon, she is an amazing singer. All right, sounds good. Seems like a good setup. We'll help out. Good skill to have. Sadly, she has horrendous stage fright. Yeah, that's a huge problem. So She had tried to get into this school for its music program, and during audition she completely flopped as the stage fright hit her right then and there during the audition to get in. And even though she's quite talented, she can't get in because she can't actually present it. So yeah, that's a pretty big conflict. How are you going to be idol if you have stage fright? It's a weird conflict that I've not seen anywhere else. It does it well, and I'm kind of surprised. It works well from the very main character herself, immediately having such a conflict. You get this big driving of how you build up to actually being able to perform. It isn't super long, you know, they have to get into it. They gotta start actually making some stuff, but overall, that's her conflict. Going on to the other character, we have Chisato, who actually joins the unit a little bit later, and she has more of a conflict that relates to our main character, Kanon. They've known each other for a long time, and Kanon has been a huge support in Chisato. Chisato was like more weaker kid, got picked around, and Kanon kind of stepped up, was like, nah, fuck that shit, that ain't happening. So Chisato looks up to Kanon, and she has, I would say, somewhat of a imposter syndrome that she was able to actually make it into the program, that Kanon's in the general curriculum program while she's out here doing dance and stuff. There's a bit of a conflict where she kind of wants to improve herself. She wants to be there, actually kind of like step up to the plate, become better than her. That is her conflict. I think it's a little bit more complex one from the series, but I think it's done very well. It's explored a little bit later. You get a bit time with her kind of just being a supportive friend before you really get into a little bit of that backstory. Then we have Sumire. She is fucking amazing. She gets introduced and she has a huge desire to be a main character. She wants that main character energy, and pretty much she wants to get main roles. She's a bit of an actor, has done a bunch of stuff, but she's only really done support and like extra roles. She hasn't done anything big, even though that's been her big desire ever since she was super fucking young. But she can't get that. For some reason, nobody sees her as a star she is. She initially tries to join this group, trying to take the lead role because she sees the numbers this Love Live stuff can do. It's like, let me get on to that. I can dominate this. I can take this over. But overall, she becomes just another fitting part of the group, and that is her setup conflict. Now, for the next character, we have Ren. Already said, she kind of plays this antagonistic role. She doesn't want school idol groups kind of coming into the program. She says this under a somewhat excuse that she doesn't want it to water down this already established program, which is the big part of this particular school. And it seems fair, seems like a fair thing, but there's more spoiler things that happen in that second half of the first season that really get you to know why she's so ambitious about this, why she believes what she believes. Now, I think that's it. I think that's all the characters. Oh, wait. There's fucking Cuckoo. I gotta talk a lot about Cuckoo. Alright, she is my favorite fucking Love Live character, favorite idol character, arguably one of my favorite characters in all of fiction, not gonna lie. I fucking love her character, and there's so much going on from the rip. She has amazing conflict. She's the best comedy relief, and she's what a Love Live character is. She's the zenith of it. So if anyone doesn't know anything about the Love Live series, you'll see a lot with their character writing that they might add in some particular quirk to the character to kind of give them some distinguishing characteristic that makes them stand out. A lot of times it's because they have pretty big character casts. Most of them start out with 9 characters right off the bat. So you kind of need some of these characteristics to help you get some of the memorization in their brain. But overall, it can be seen a little bit like lazy writing. In this show, you aren't so heavily strict to that. There's definitely certain character quirks that come up. The writing style isn't completely disappeared with this particular entry in the series. And with Cuckoo, her biggest quirk is having just about any weird niche quirk that could come up, and it'll come completely like perfectly timed when it's relevant, and you're like, that's the most random bullshit ever. What the fuck? and yet she still has it. Like, she's an absolute whack job, and it's fucking amazing. She's fucking hilarious. All these weird quirks just come out of nowhere, and they're great, and they stay consistent. They keep on remembering these things, so they keep on like doing a checklist of more that they're having to add into the character whenever they write anything about it, which is honestly just super fun writing wise. To go into the conflict, it's also one of the best, I would argue the best, and helps with a lot of character dynamics shown throughout the show. And she's a lot of the driving force that actually gets things steamrolling, because she is very passionate about wanting to be a Love Live contestant. It's established pretty early on that she's from China. She actually came to Japan so she can go participate in this. She was very scholarly, but she didn't really want to pursue academics. This was kind of her dream. She wanted to do that. So her parents ended up giving her an ultimatum that pretty much, she gotta win this shit or else you going back. You going right the fuck back to Shanghai. Is like, damn, that's a crazy ass ultimatum. So she has this huge drive because this is her dream. She has this small chance to do it. And if things go wrong, uh-oh, it's bad, going right fucking back. And it really sets up this basic conflict of like, oh, she's super passionate. She seems a little bit like a wackadoo, but you learn this, it's like, wow, she really has a lot of heart to her. She's really ambitious. We gotta make things happen. It really drives Kanon to get better, to improve herself, to challenge that stage fright. It really helps out. It's something I personally relate to a little bit. I didn't have any huge ultimatum, thank the Lord, but you know, I have a more ambitious dream of the arts itself. Well, I was initially a physics major at one point in my life. When I was starting this channel, I was a depressed fucking physics major. I get her, I sympathize with her, I get her vibe. So I have a little bit of this relatability. It's just a well done conflict. All these things accumulating together just make Cuckoo just one of the fucking best characters. Now to get back to presentation and animation, it's overall one of the more cleaner shows you can watch. If we're talking specifically about CGI and the dancing, because if you've watched Zombieland Saga at the least, it can be done really bad. And Love Live, they do still do CGI. It's very rare to find a show that doesn't, but this is very good looking, very impressive. It's some of the best you can possibly get. There's more time, maybe it could be done even better for how speedy, how common these releases are. It is impressive how good it looks, and it doesn't feel jarring at all. If you've watched any of it, it doesn't stand out. It looks good. Then the overall just animation in and of itself around every other part of the show just looks very solid. There's really nothing to complain. It's a very pretty looking show. The one thing that really stands out that I think a lot of people definitely undermined, especially since it's an aspect I think a lot of people overlook, the backgrounds and scenery. It is probably my favorite show. Like, definitive #1 anime for its backgrounds and scenery. Like, honestly, just watch the first ED. You can immediately see how all of its background work is done. It has a very good, nice, contrasty color, very good with the design of light. Just the overall detail of it is absolutely fantastic. I think just in its direction alone, it's very creative. Where a lot of backgrounds, it can be done very easily, where it's like, okay, we're designing a school. Look up pictures of a school, put that for the school. There is clearly a lot of big blueprinting and planning out for a lot of this world. It seems very well lived in. It seems a little utopian. It looks probably better than a lot what Tokyo generally looks like. Like, it looks very polished, very clean. It looks like they really love their greens. It looks like they have just a love for city planning. Like, it feels like a very loved and lived in world. And just with the overall quality of all the backgrounds, the attention to detail, it's impressive. Then lastly, to comment on the overall writing of these type of things, I think this show does a lot different from first all the other Love Lives and a lot of other Idol shows. But with a lot of Idol shows, you honestly have very big casts put out. You need a bunch of Idol characters that need establishment. They often come in very quickly into the show, and you have to try and establish them, and just, you have to do it in bulk, or you're trying to make individual episodes for each character, and like, it can sometimes feel forced, rushed. They do introduce plenty of the characters that you will see, within the idol group, but they're actually introduced much before they actually join. And they usually have an episode it takes for them to join the idol group. You actually get a very slow buildup of characters that works very well. In that pacing of the introduction of characters and all the nuances to them, it's brought about in a much slower fashion. It has a pretty lower cast even by the first season, where they only have 5 characters. You do bring it up to 9 by the second, but again, they're also slowly introduced. The 9th character does come in at the second half, so you're getting significantly more episodes to start setting up these characters, which really helps out, especially since these characters are really the glue. A lot of the times, characters within idol anime are some of the things that can really carry it. A lot of them are comedy driven, so you need to have these characters that come off charismatic, characters that you want to watch, you want to enjoy, cheer for as they're getting towards their goal. So having this more slower pacing into introducing them, getting you sympathetic to their plights, it really helps out with this type of show. And as well, you just have to complement their overall balance within comedy and drama that the show is able to handle. It's quite impressive. I already talked about Cuckoo being this amazing comedy relief character. Her screen presence is absolutely hilarious and she's amazing for the comedic elements, but you're able to do a lot of good, serious, dramatic storytelling. I think the dynamic between Cuckoo and Sumire is absolutely impressive, and to, I guess, get into spoilers a little bit for once, episode 9 is an absolutely impressive episode between those two characters, as Sumire ends up learning about Cuckoo's background and knows that if they fail this Love Live competition, she's going back to Shanghai. Now the Love Live competition, they're entering a qualifier. They want Sumire to actually pick up the lead, and now Sumire, who has always been yearning to be the lead, is now kind of getting like frights that it's like, oh, like, am I able to do it? Are you sure about this? And especially now that she knows the stakes, she's very much against it. She doesn't like trust herself. She doesn't want to be at fault if like things go awry and, you know, Cuckoo then has to leave. Cuckoo and Sumire's dynamic, for anyone who watched the show, they already know. They got the old couple energy. They're constantly bickering. As soon as Sumire was introduced into the thing, you know, got on Cuckoo's nerve a little bit, and they picked up the old couple dynamic where they're bickering, but overall, they love each other dearly. Sumi Cuckoo ship is the way to go, by the way. Pretty much what that episode's doing. Cuckoo's just fighting back against Sumire, like, I trust you, you can do this, I believe in you. It's a super deep and wholesome episode, and I personally cry at that episode. I think is amazingly well done, deep, heartfelt episode. And I think that's a very important part to what can make a show watchable for other people. I would say Zombieland Saga was also able to do this as well. I would say the season 2, I think it was episode 10, where they have the rough makeup, but it came off, but people are still supporting. Like, that was also a wholesome moment, but I feel the show is also able to hit those same good qualities. Anyways, I do believe that it's able to hit these 2 marks is very important, and especially comedy. I think comedy is a big thing that can help get people very eased in to a show. I think Zombieland Saga, why it has always been regarded as a more successful idol gateway, is because of the comedy aspect. When they're not usually prepared to some of the genre quirks, is some comedy. If something's funny, it's going to be much easier to get yourself into it. Where compared to drama, if you're throwing like solid drama, but it's like a little bit of obtuse to somebody, it might not hit. So I think the comedy leaning is very important. And I think this show also picks up in that comedy role and is, through its characters, through its character writing, is able to do it, I think, at a stronger level than what Zombieland Saga did it. But anyways, to bring it back, to bring it to a close, why did I think this particular anime is the best idol gateway representation? If you're wondering, no, this is not my favorite idol anime. I actually do have things that are higher, and I think certain shows do certain things better than this one. My favorite is Idol Pride. I think some people already know that from some of the videos I've made on it. I think that is the best, and it's generally due to a very well done subplot within it that focuses on a romance between characters while also connecting it pretty well back to the main cast. Plus, the music in it is literally the best from all idol things. The music goes hard as fuck, so Love Live don't got any shit on that. None of their series do. to give credit what this is best in, what this show does best is being very good, very solid all around in every aspect of the show. It's kind of like the jack of all trades, master of none, but in this case, I think you can argue it masters some things. When it comes to characters, Cuckoo is like a mastering of Idol characters, in my opinion. And we can also say sceneries and backgrounds as well. I think that is a mastering within anime in and of itself. So it has things that it has in fact mastered, and it's very good and very solid in all the other categories as well. While yes, it's like well-rounded, cool, good point, I think it really has no particular turn-off point. While certain shows might have very good hits with certain people, it might also fail some other people. I feel this show is very good at not having any particular turn-off element. In that way, it's more easier to get people into it. If they like Idol stuff, it is the most like Idol with the least amount of possible turn-offs that can turn people away from it. In that respect, it makes it one of the definitive Idol anime to try and get other people to go to our dark degeneracy. All hail Idol anime. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching my ramblings about Love Live Superstar. Again, it's a small thing that's been talked about, and I really wanted to get deep and concrete onto my point of why I think this show would actually be the better Idol Gateway anime. So I hope you liked the video, hope you liked and enjoyed, and I'll see you guys within the next one. Goodbye.